Once we switch the session, this one, I think we persevere.
Usually supposed to video playing, the looped video.
So everyone's looking at what you're looking at right now.
Oh, we're just sitting there.
That's the problem.
So just to introduce while Leslie gets set up. So our first presentation is a demo / paper, which is by Leslie Deere. And this is a project that's looking at action at a distance, altered states through virtual gestures.
Okay, I'll just start and the video will come. Just to give you an idea. Tracking in the middle of that and had to fix it. Okay, now I will run over to the laptop. Okay. Okay, now we have to get over there. This hopefully gives you an idea of what you aren't seeing in VR.
We're playing the video on this one.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, Eva. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your patience. So I'm doing a PhD in gestural audio visuals and VR. My background is in dance. So I am combining different disciplines together for this project. My PhD project is called Array Infinitive. As you just saw, I move around the space and gestures control audio visuals, different particle trails in VR and audio on the XYZ axis. So my key research areas here, while immersed in VR, are participants aware of a live performative element? Are they aware of a human taking part and in control of the performance? Do participants have awareness or place importance on being part of a group for this experience? And is the experience successful in achieving an altered state of consciousness? So the human element is really key. So this is really, oh, hi, microphone moment. So the human element is really important. Can people, are they aware? Are they aware of being part of a group? Are they aware that there's a live element involved that has to do with the human, despite all the tech and the machinery? Also, as a secondary line of inquiry, color, people's response to color in VR. So these are some of the feedback I've got: red, anxious, excited, slightly nervous, warm, orange. If you could tell, the VR scenes go through the color spectrum. So different reactions to different colors, which I find quite interesting and helps kind of shape people's experience. So the first round of research study occurred last summer in Glasgow at the CCA. So we did 25 participants over 4 days in a controlled experiment test study. So from this first study, 32% of people were aware of a human performer. So not very much, not much awareness of a human performer. This happened, I think, right the week after EVA last year. So I hadn't done this yet last conference. Also kind of fault lines of techie people, non-techie people, gamers, all this kind of has an influence on how people respond. 72% of people also were not aware of being part of a group. The content, I guess, is so heavy and there's a lot coming at them that they're they kind of lose aspect of it, of being in a group. If you could see on the projections earlier, the sort of sparkling cylinders of light, that was sort of like a design idea to represent people in VR. Some people pick up on that, some people don't. The audio is really key. A lot of people, 80%, really enjoyed the kind of mixed reality experience of the sound coming out of speakers, but being in VR. So again, this kind of cohesive element of the sound. And then it turns out it does create an altered state experience. So high levels here for these areas in relation to float tank, breathwork, Gansfeld, and dark room. So it does successfully create an altered state experience. Directly after this control test, we then took it into a bigger room, a bigger space with projections. So this idea of hybrid audience, people in VR and people not in VR. And that also produced some So yes, this idea of hybrid audience in and out of VR. Only 2 people from this study were able to come back for this version. So I've just done this again. So I've just done a second round of research at Eclectic in South London, and I did some demos at Breaking Convention. So this just happened on Saturday, so I haven't analyzed the data from this. Both of these happened on Saturdays, past Saturday. So yeah, I'm anxious to see. We kind of modified the setup. We modified a bit of how we presented the piece, how we invited people into the space to see if that adjusted the outcome at all. And then, so please, everyone's invited. Please come to this, and it will be another version of the piece with projections. And yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to get feedback from, because something interesting is happening with this idea of multiple realities happening at the same time. So people not in VR, people in VR, people listening to the same sound, but having different experiences. Yeah, different ways of seeing this performance, new definitions of maybe what performance is, different ways of engaging with performance. Sitting amongst a performance, dancing and moving as a performance, how these ways that VR can maybe collapse and reconfigure audience relationship. And then, do I have 2 seconds more?
Yeah.
I'll just read a bit of a quote about effects, because I just really love this quote. It's by Gregory Seaworth and Melissa Gregg. Effect is in many ways synonymous with force or forces of encounter. The term force, however, can be a bit of a misnomer, since effect need not be especially forceful. In fact, it is quite likely that effect more often transpires within and across the subtlest of shuttling intensities, all the minuscule or molecular events of the unnoticed. The ordinary and its extra. Effect is born in in-betweenness and resides as a cumulative besideness. Effect can be understood then as a gradient of bodily capacity, a supple incrementalism of ever-modulating force relations that rises and falls not only along rhythms and modalities of encounter, but also through the troughs and seas of sensation and sensibility, an incrementalism that coincides with belonging to commitments of matter of visually and any every sort. Thank you.
So we are running slightly behind time, but I think it'd be really good to have 1 or 2 questions and just run slightly behind time. So, Carl.
Thank you so much, Leslie. That was fantastic. So yeah, fascinated by your work. Have you looked at ISNIS?
Yes,
Yes.
I was gonna be a research assistant for him. Do you?
Glowacki, yeah.
Yes,
David Glowacki.
yes.
It's just been published in Nature, so that's yeah, you're doing great work, and I think you should definitely collaborate with David. My actual question though is around how you're measuring your altered state. Are you using anything other than questionnaires? Are you using any EEG or?
No, I would love to. It's the mode test and the 11 DAOC, yes. So I would love to do that. No, I haven't had them. Yeah, I haven't, no.
We should talk.
Great.
Yes.
Let's do
Because
that.
what you're doing is a cyberdelic.
Yeah.
I've been running the Cyberdelic Society
Yes.
since 2015, so it'd be great to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also whether you've actually combined it with something like breath work or any
This
other
is
modalities.
very much of interest to me. I've thought about maybe running a workshop where that is part of it and maybe a meditative. Yes, I'm interested in that, yeah. Great.
Okay, one more question maybe?
Just simply, could you just explain how the sound is formed? Is it like you're playing an instrument that has a bass sound, and then if you manipulate it, so you're creating the composition?
Yes,
Okay,
so
that's exciting.
yeah, it is like an instrument, and the more I use it, the more I find little hidden pockets of things and like little
Okay,
ultrasounds.
Okay. Online questions. So you've joined Quest, but how could you say if you used it on screen while you used it? I think this was more of a technical comment, maybe. Did you have that?
Yeah. Hi, I was interested, do you use any sound from the people that are in the performance?
No, as in like
Because
live
it just seems a
sampling,
missed opportunity.
live sampling kind of a
Yeah.
thing. Yes, no, at the minute, no. As you
So
can
it's
see,
very
there's a lot going
monotechnic,
on.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
I
just
did,
having a dialogue with yourself,
Yes.
and they're just viewing it.
I
It
did.
just seems really missed opportunity
Yeah, I
to
did.
bring that in somehow.
Yes, I did think at one point of some live vocals from myself, maybe processed vocals. But yeah, some live sampling of the room because that would echo this whole environmental aspect, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in the 90s and even in the 80s where they did sampling of sound through television sets,
Yeah,
put video cameras on them, and then actually danced in front of the cameras, and they used feedback.
mhm,
Very interesting stuff. I can give you a whole heap of different people that
Yeah.
did that type of work. Camera suits, they made camera suits of small cameras,
yes.
and it just reminded me of that work.
Mhm,
It just seems a missed opportunity not to have the sound of the room
Mhm.
incorporated. They're breathing, like someone said, about
mhm.
actually bring that into the work, because it seems that you're just doing something for yourself, but 4 other people are engaged and maybe half a dozen are watching. And it could be just so much more exciting if that was viable.
Mhm,
You know, and
yes.
of course there's all the feedback, but then the feedback gives an interesting structure as well.
Mhm. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thanks. So I think we're going to leave the rest of the questions
Oh.
for today. Leslie, were you kind of happy to do maybe more demoing if you want to try it?
Yes,
Maybe?
yes, yes.
So we'll do that after this session if you want to have a go and ask more
And
questions.
just on the final note, I'm definitely, the idea behind the project is definitely not for myself. That's why it's a group. That's why it's a group inner, and with a hybrid audience, then it becomes an even bigger group series. But thank you very much. Thank you for your
Great stuff.
time.
Well done.
Thank you.
Oh, no, no,